In this video, I'm going to show you how to start out recording and editing video for completely free. There are a few different free options out there, so this is just a tutorial on what I use. So first of all, we're going to need to get a program that's going to allow us to record our screen, and for that I'm using OBS. There are two versions up here, they're both completely free. I'm going to recommend that you get the OBS Studio. They're very similar, but the OBS Studio is newer and has some new features I'm pretty excited about. So here we are in OBS Studio. First of all, I'm going to go into the settings and make some changes. Under Output, I'm going to make sure my recording path is going to the directory I want my videos saved, and my recording format is set to MP4. By default, it's set to FLV, which I found wouldn't work with a lot of free software. Next, under Video, I'm going to make sure that my output is the same as my base resolution, which is my full screen. By default, it was set to one of these lower resolutions, which means it scaled my video down in the recording, which is not something I want. I believe I left pretty much all of the rest of the settings the same, except for the video bitrate. This is something I'm not really too sure about, but I kind of found a number that worked for my computer, so you're going to have to do your own research on this. So now that we have our settings, we can start adding scenes and sources. Scenes work like scenarios where you can have different settings for each one. So if you're going to use this for gaming, for a video podcast, you can have different sources in each of those and have different settings for each of those. So that's really handy. So now under sources, we're probably going to want for our digital painting to add display capture or window capture. The difference is display capture captures your entire monitor. So you can see I can choose between my monitor where I'm recording here or my other monitor which has Photoshop and where I'm actually recording this video in the old OBS. We can also do window capture, which will allow us to just select Photoshop. And this is scaled to the resolution that is currently scaled to on my other screen. So that's something to take into consideration. So each of these works like a little layer that you have in here. You can move it around on your screen, which is really handy because that means that you can have multiple things while you're recording. So now I have my display capture underneath my window capture, and I can scale and move these around. So next up we have our audio options. So we have our microphone and our desktop audio. We can control the volume and mute them. We also have little option boxes here for them, which will allow us to select what microphone we are using. We can also add filters to our audio, which have the options of gain and noise gate. I'm using noise gate for my audio because you can hear the whirring of my computer, so I'm using this to cancel out that noise. You can hear it right now because I'm recording on the old OBS and it doesn't have that kind of filtering option, so you'll hear later in the video that kind of disappear. That's what's happening. We also have this option wheel for the mixer. I haven't messed around with this, but if you want extra options, that's where they are. And over here we have our scene transitions, and that is pretty new to OBS Studio. And we have what's called studio mode, which allows us to go between, I believe, different sources in our scene and create nice transitions between them. This is handy if you're doing live streaming and not as important for our recording because we can do those transitions and editing after recording all of our footage. So that's something to play around with if you're interested in streaming. finally, the last couple of buttons here are fairly obvious: start streaming, start recording, and exit. For our video recordings, we're just going to use start recording. If you do want to do streaming, you're going to need to look up some additional options that you'll need to change in your settings so that it knows where to stream to. And that's it for OBS.
Thanks for watching this video. If you're interested in more, check out part 2 where I go into editing with Movie Maker.